When it comes to your wedding, one perfect way to check off the something old category is going vintage.
Nadia at Nadia Albano Style Inc. is an expert on the subject.
Vintage is a huge trend right now, and the best thing about it is finding some really unique pieces that will stand out and will make your wedding one of a kind.
And where to get inspiration?
Our favorite beauty icons like Sophia Loren and Audrey Hepburn, and really incorporating that into your bridal style.
Nadia had vintagified, is that even a word? Yeah, sure, we'll go with it. Vintagified us, and it was time to learn the tricks of the trade.
Don't go all the way.
A bride who wants a vintage wedding, she can't do head to toe.
I wouldn't say so, because it can look too costumey. It really depends on the decade that you're kind of going for.
So you mix it up.
Mix it up.
So you mix up the eras, 20s and the 80s.
Maybe not those 2 decades, Aubrey.
Can all your bridesmaids be different decades, or will that look really bad?
Keep the decades close.
You can't see like Cher with Sophia Loren and, you know, Audrey Hepburn.
Yeah.
Or do you know what I mean? Like,
Or
it just,
you could. It's your
You could,
wedding.
yeah.
It's your
I
wedding,
mean-
but she wouldn't suggest it.
No.
When it comes to your bridesmaids, here's a great idea.
Give them all a clutch purse.
This is such a good idea too, because when you are a bridesmaid, you don't know what your lip gloss. I have my inhaler.
Vintage pieces also tell a story.
This handbag here is actually my mother's, and my grandfather gave it to her when she was 14.
Vintage dresses are usually one-offs.
You know, you have 6 bridesmaids and you want to go to a vintage shop and get them all vintage clothes, but you know, there's only going to be one of the dress. So how do we put them together?
So you can have them all wearing different dresses, but as long as the palette is the same, it'll look cohesive.
Also, one fun fact to remember,
The vintage is not going to fit
Exactly.
everybody because we're bigger than our parents.
My rib cage does not get into those vintage dresses.
Everyone was 90 to 8 pounds back in the day.
One great solution for this is Happy Yellow Dress, a company which make custom clothes from authentic vintage patterns. Next, we had training for vintage shopping trips.
Let's face it, as much as we train, we don't have the eye that Nadia has.
Vintage shopping is very hard work, and if you're not careful,
You can go home with a bunch of junk.
For people that have never gone vintage shopping, it's really very daunting. So you want to be comfortable, you want to be in like ready position, you know what I mean?
This is a sport, people.
pronounce all store names very posh.
Value Village.
Yeah, and that's the trick.
Right?
Boutique,
Or you could even go to a garage.
Exactly.
sale.
Or l'armée de salvation.
I would start small and go into smaller, more local secondhand stores in Gastown, Main Street, New Westminster, sort of antique row, because they've already got pieces there picked out for you specifically.
Our shopping trip was peachy.
peachy?
Hello, it's a vintage term, Aubrey.
An amazing tip from Nadia is
You want to remember DLDB, so dark, light, dull, and bright. I always incorporate one element of vintage in every outfit, every single day of my life.
vintage is indeed an incredible way to include family history in your wedding, as well as make a fashion statement, all while recycling. How very new millennium.
For Shaw TV, we're the Wedding Bells.